Jets thundered over Belgrade, tanks shook the streets below. Serbia has staged its biggest military parade in history. A spectacle of power, pride and warning. Rafale, Russian choppers, Chinese missiles, all on display. Is this celebration or provocation? In the heart of the Balkans, Serbia flexes its might and rattles its neighbours. Belgrade's skies roared with fighter jets and its boulevards rumbled with tanks as Serbia staged one of its most ambitious military parades in years on September 20th. The event, held in the new Belgrade district, marked the Day of Serbian Unity, Freedom and the national flag, a holiday introduced in 2020 and observed both in Serbia and in Bosnia's Serb-led entity, Republika Srpska. The last such military parade organised in Belgrade took place in 2014, marking the 100th anniversary of the beginning of World War I and the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Belgrade in World War II. The event was attended, among others, by Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to the Serbian Ministry of Defense website in 2014, only a few streets in Belgrade were partly closed for 4 days. This year, more streets have been closed, and the disruption will last a full 16 days. The parade was not just ceremonial. Serbia unveiled 19 newly acquired weapon systems, ranging from French Rafale multi-role fighter jets to Chinese anti-aircraft missile systems, Israeli technologies, and Russian helicopters. The diversified display symbolized the country's increasingly multi-directional foreign policy, one that blends aspirations for EU membership with close ties to powers often at odds with Brussels. Officials in Belgrade described the event as a reflection of Serbia's aspiration to neutrality and sovereignty. Yet, critics interpreted the display differently, as a calculated projection of strength in a region where tensions are never far from the surface. The symbolism of the location was not lost on observers. Only a month earlier, in the very same streets of New Belgrade, riot police had fired tear gas at demonstrators protesting against government measures. Now, those same avenues were lined with armoured vehicles and marching troops in a spectacle meant to project unity, discipline and resolve. Serbia's leaders have long described their military policy as rooted in neutrality, a stance shaped by the country's recent history and its geopolitical position between East and West. But not everyone agreed that September 20's parade reinforced that image. The ambiguity is not new. Since the violent breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, Serbia has walked a fine line. It maintains strong historical and cultural ties with Russia, yet its political leadership insists EU accession remains the country's strategic priority. NATO, however, appears out of reach. The memory of the alliance's 1999 bombing campaign over Kosovo remains deeply embedded in the national consciousness and serves as a political obstacle to any future membership bid.
It's very hard to have in mind that Serbia in the near future is going to become a NATO ally. Not just because they don't want it, but there are quite a lot of things that Serbia needs to fulfill in order to apply for NATO membership.
Nonetheless, Serbia's leadership continues to stress its European path.
We know that our strategic priority as a country is the integration into the EU, and I do not see this as a competing interest.
Brnabic's remarks came against the backdrop of President Alexander Vucic's high-profile attendance at Beijing's military parade earlier this month, commemorating the 80th anniversary of China's victory over Japan. In recent years, Serbia has poured billions into modernizing its armed forces. Rafale jets from France, Russian attack helicopters described by Vucic as flying tanks, Chinese surface-to-air missile systems delivered in secretive night flights, and even reports of Iranian drone acquisitions have expanded the country's arsenal. The pace of procurement has unsettled its neighbours. In 2021, The Economist described Belgrade's military buildup as a shopping spree for weapons, warning it was making other Balkan capitals uneasy. For critics, the issue is not only scale but also intent.
There is hope for the Western Balkans to join the EU and NATO. But the precondition for this is to treat Serbia for what it is, a satellite state of Russia that is deepening its military, economic, and political cooperation with Russia.
Bosnia and Herzegovina's leaders have been equally alarmed.
Here, at the podium of the UN General Assembly, I want to publicly warn the global audience that, once again, the leadership of the Republic of Serbia is threatening the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Defence data supports some of these concerns. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Serbia's defence budget reached around $1.4 billion in 2022, 10 times larger than Kosovo's. Its 250 battle tanks outnumber the combined fleets of Croatia, Bosnia, and North Macedonia. By comparison, Kosovo has none. To compensate, Pristina has sought external support. In recent years, it has secured Turkish Bayraktar drones and hundreds of American Javelin anti-tank missiles. The same systems Ukraine has deployed with deadly effect against Russian armour. The imbalance has raised the spectre of renewed conflict in the region, particularly given Serbia's recent troop build-ups along the Kosovo border and incidents involving paramilitary groups. Beyond the hardware, observers point to ideology as a driving factor. President Vučić and his allies have promoted a concept known as Serb World, widely seen as a modernized version of Slobodan Milosevic's Greater Serbia project from the 1990s. The idea gained formal shape in June, when Belgrade hosted an all-Serb assembly attended by representatives of Serb communities across the former Yugoslavia. The declaration that emerged from the gathering described Kosovo as an inalienable part of Serbia and called for a united national agenda among Serbs across borders. The German Foreign Office condemned the move as very worrying and damaging for Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia, and all countries in the Western Balkans. Without the NATO-led Kosovo Force mission in Kosovo and the EU's peacekeeping presence in Bosnia, analysts argue smaller states would be unable to resist Serbian pressure. The mixture of a heavily armed Serbia, simmering nationalism, and fragile Western oversight has left many in the region on edge. The spectacle of September 22nd parade, with its gleaming tanks and roaring jets, may have celebrated unity and national pride. But for Serbia's neighbours, it was also a stark reminder of unresolved divisions and a potential prelude to darker days ahead.